Hello everyone, this is Carmela Soleil of the Sunny Raw Kitchen, and today we're having another raw in a flash where I'm going to be making an awesome vegan cheese. If you've been around my blog for a while, then you might know that I've started to experiment with this cheese that was developed by a woman called Jo Stepaniak. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but anyways, she wrote the Ultimate on Cheese cookbook, which is actually a bunch of different recipes for making a vegan cheese. And although the intention wasn't necessarily to be for the raw crowd, her thing was to offer a cheese that is vegan. And I've been experimenting with cultured cheeses, which I really love. So cheeses made with nuts such as cashews or macadamias, and I love that. It's very, the flavor is just amazing. But the thing about it, it uses a lot of nuts, and it also calls for the culture time, which is 24 to 48 hours. The cool thing about this cheese is that it calls for only half a cup of nuts, and then the rest, to get the consistency, it comes from agar powder, which is a seaweed. So it's a very low-fat recipe, and the other thing is that it can be made super fast. The main thing is that it needs to set in the fridge for an hour perhaps, so a lot quicker than the other one. And again, you can play with all sorts of variations, changing the herbs around and the seasonings, and lots of room for improvisation. So today we're going to play with another recipe that I've come up with using some fresh tarragon from the garden and some mustard. I just thought that tarragon and mustard would make a nice combination. For this task, I'll be using the Omni blender. So I've already mentioned it a few times on my blog. You can find a page that talks about the Omni with different videos and talks about the advantages of this 3 horsepower blender that is considerably cheaper than other comparable machines on the market. So $250 plus shipping, and it does a really fantastic job at getting things nice and creamy, and greens really nicely dissolved, and yeah, just an awesome tool for someone that starts off with raw or any raw bees really. So the Omni blender, and all right, I think we're good to go. So for this recipe, I'm using almonds. I have an intolerance to cashews, and you'll see there's a lot of recipes using cashews on my site. And what I've been doing is just dealing with the side effects of the mucus and so paying the price of it. And sometimes, and I guess I'm starting to move away from that now, and so I've been using almonds for replacing the basic cashew recipe, and I really like that. I soak them, so by soaking them it releases, there's more enzymes that get to develop and easier to digest, and they become alkaline, so it all makes sense all around to soak the almonds. So I'm going to get everything ready in the blender. So the almonds, I'm using also hemp seeds, so you could also put sesame seeds, but I like this combination of using hemp and almonds. Some nutritional yeast, so that gives a nice cheesy flavor. It's not technically raw, and as you'll see in many of my recipes, I'll use some ingredients that are not fully raw, because I like to eat as healthy as I can, but I also like things that taste good. And I figure if you're healthy, to have some things that aren't raw is not a problem. And anyways, it's not necessary to eat 100% raw to reap the benefits. If you eat even 50% raw or any percentage of raw, you'll get great benefits from it. So using a few ingredients that are occasionally not raw, not a problem for me. So you decide what feels right for you. So nutritional yeast, some lemon juice, And let's see, so the different flavors here. So we've got some salt and some garlic and onion powders, and then some mustard. So remember, it's a mustard and tarragon blend, so I'm using some dried mustard as well as some Dijon mustard. So I'm going to just put everything in there. Dijon mustard. And I'm going to stop here because the tarragon I'm going to add just at the very end, because I don't want it to be totally dissolved. I want it to stay intact. It will be much prettier in the finished cheese. So I've got all my ingredients ready. The next thing I want to do is prepare the agar and water base. That's going to be the thickener for this recipe. So I'll see you just in a few seconds over at the stove. Okay, so we're now going to do the mixture of agar and water. The agar, to release the gelatinous properties, it needs to be heated. So again, you can argue, okay, this is not a totally raw recipe. Again, you go and see what feels right for you. For me, I just like the idea that I can have something that can be prepared quick, and that's virtually all raw and low fat. So what I'm going to do, we're going to just start the water here. Starting the heat. I'm using hot water because it's going to cut down on the time. So just pouring the hot water in here with the agar powder. And then I'm just going to start whisking. So I just want to get the powder and the water well incorporated, well mixed, that there's no lump in there. Then you want to let it come to a boil, and I'm going to just come and move it around a little bit so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. Just a few times. It's already starting to bubble in here. So yeah, so I count about 5 minutes from the time that it's starting to boil. So I'm going to turn it down, turn it way down so that it's just a slow simmer. Alright, I don't cover it. Too bad Don can get right in there and see what it looks like. But anyways, you know what simmering looks like. Oh, he is coming. Ah. It's going to thicken fairly quickly. You'll see it will become a creamy, thick mixture. Sort of turning white. So yes, I'm just going to let it do its thing for about 5 minutes. And just whisking it once in a while. And then I'll meet you again over with the blender. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes, so I think the agar is ready. So I'm just turning it off. And then I'm going to be, at this point you kind of want to work quickly because it's going to thicken up real fast. So I'm just going to pour that into the blender. It's good to have a good spatula so that you can really get all of the thickener. And actually, okay, and then now just gonna blend this up. Oh, and actually I have to be back in a sec because I'm gonna need the temper. And got the temper. I think it's possible that now it even comes with a plastic temper. Anyways, this is a wooden one. So I'm gonna just put the 35-second cycle and see how it's doing. So I barely had to use the temper actually. So in a way, that's interesting. I know when I make this with the Vitamix, we also have a Vitamix blender. when I use the Vitamix, I have to use the temper a lot more, so I guess it's to do with the different shape of containers. Alright. Oh man, it smells so good. So, oh, and I almost forgot the adding the tarragon. So I could actually just fold it by hand, or just put that in and run it on low. Let's see. I'm just gonna run it on low for just a few seconds. Alright, and then you just pour it. I've been using more of a rectangular container, or you could use a round one. Now it's my first time using a square one, just for a bit of a change. You basically want it to hold at least 2 cups of cheese. Ooh, and it's really, it's quite nice. The square container makes it quite easy to just get everything out of there. The Vitamix is more tapered, the container, so it's always a little tricky to get to the what's really at the bottom. Right, so got most of it out. And at this point, you could put it in the fridge. What I like to do, I like to actually cheat, and I put it in the freezer for half an hour, so it just makes the process a little quicker. There we go. So I'm just gonna put that in the freezer, and I'll see you and show you how to demold the cheese. Alright, welcome back. It's been about an hour since we've finished our cheese. It's been in the fridge, actually the freezer and then the fridge, and now I'm just about ready to deplate it. So most likely you won't even need to run a knife around the container, because you'll see it will just separate quite easily. So I'm just going to plate it directly onto here. Give it a little help. Alright. Just gonna ease it out a bit with a knife first. There. Okay, so it's really quite firm. That's one of the cool things about this type of cheese. You can actually grate it if you'd like, and it will make very nice slices. So I'll just cut one up for you guys so you can see. So there's just a nice slice, and then you just enjoy that on your favorite cracker. Today we have a flax herb cracker that I made a couple of weeks ago. So there. So lovely tarragon and mustard vegan cheese, and made. It actually takes just, again, less than 15 minutes to assemble. You just need to be a little patient to let it set in the fridge, and there you have it, the super vegan cheese. So thanks for joining me today. Again, I'm Carmela of the Sonora Kitchen, and we'll see you again very soon.